Before it all happened, many visitors to Yellowstone were blissfully unaware that it was volcanic. After all, where was the cone-shaped volcano, like Mount St. Helens or Vesuvius? They didn't realize that they were actually standing on top of it, that beneath their feet was one of the largest volcanoes in the world. The truth is, we were only just beginning to understand the workings of the park ourselves.
I like it raw.
Raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
The vast reservoir of red-hot molten rock that lies just a few kilometers beneath where you're sitting now. The sleeping dragon that powers all of the geysers and hot springs, mud spots and steam vents that draw people here in their millions every year.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Get some coffee, everybody. Calm down in Yellowstone. Yellowstone. Yes, and Montana. They were hit with a very strong jolt, a powerful 4.5 magnitude earthquake recorded in Yellowstone National Park in the evening last night. But it's been followed by several earthquakes, including a 2.7 all the way to 3.1. Here's the whole thing. It's very shallow, very, very shallow. Let me give you an update now what's been going on. If you guys remember, 2 days ago, I noticed that there was a 3.7 or so earthquake in Yellowstone there in Montana. And I said, I don't like it. I don't like it. And there was a couple more smaller aftershocks. I kept saying, I don't like it. I don't like it. Don't let this super volcano open up and awake.
The first sign of trouble will be increasing seismic activity. The ground would rise as pressure from the molten rock begins to grow.
There would be a lot of ground deformation, and then if it was moving up slowly enough, we would actually start seeing large changes in the geyser basins.
Yellowstone in northwest Wyoming, land of geysers, mountains, and lakes, is also sitting atop a super volcano. And it just took what scientists describe as a deep breath, causing miles of ground to rise dramatically. So what does this mean? Well, joining us right now is Michio Kaku. He is a physics professor at the City University of New York and the author of the upcoming book, Physics of the Future. Thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be on.
So the last time this happened was 640,000 years ago. We're due?
We are due. Forget Yogi Bear. Okay, forget Old Faithful. It's sitting on top of a sleeping giant. Now, if you're sleeping next to an 800-pound gorilla, you monitor every burp, every snore of this gigantic gorilla, because when it blows, it could destroy the United States as we know it.
This is a pretty scary prospect. I want to just show people what we're talking about here when we talk about this super volcano, and we have a little thing to show you, a map with some of the details. So that's where it is. It's beneath Yellowstone. It's been there, as we know. I guess this has erupted 3 times in 2.1 million years. But what they're worried about is the fact that they say that the ground has started to swell in levels that they have not seen before, 10 inches in some places in the past year. What does that tell us?
It tells us that there is activity in this supervolcano, which erupts roughly every 600 million years. And the last eruption was 640 million years ago.
Oh, 640 million or 1,000?
1,000 years ago, I'm sorry, right.
Because then we had some more time.
Then we have some more time, right. But that's what's making us very nervous, because the cycle time corresponds to the present-day era. So every single burp, murmur of this gigantic potential supervolcano, including the rise of the sea level, has to be watched very carefully.
All right, so when we talk about this, and we have pictures, pictures of Mount St. Helen erupting back in 1980. Let's just show this right now. You say that an explosion with this supervolcano under Yellowstone, and there we're seeing the Mount St. Helens, would be 1,000 times bigger than this. What type of damage are we talking about here?
We're talking about immediate damage out to 100 miles from the site. That is total devastation, basically wiping out everything in sight. However, the real damage goes out to 500 miles if you include volcanic ash, poisonous gases, death of wildlife and vegetation, and that's a ring about 1,000 miles across. That's the heartline of America.
It would pretty much wipe out Earth as we know it?
It would wipe out the United States as we know it. And again, we don't want to panic anybody. It could happen tomorrow, or it could happen 100,000 years from now. It's black magic trying to predict exactly when it's going to blow, but we do know one thing. One day, it will blow.
And you say that something on this scale is what wiped out the dinosaurs.
65 million years ago, another supervolcano coincided with this meteor that hit Mexico, and we think it was a double whammy that knocked out the dinosaurs. So it's something that we take very seriously, but again, the cycle time is measured on the scale of hundreds of thousands of years.
Would there be anything we could do to prepare or to get people out? I mean, how much of a warning might we get with this eruption?
All you can do is run. You don't get much warning. What happened is the ground starts to rise, more and more earthquakes take place, more ash and volcanic gases start to be unleashed. That's about the only warning we get, because we do not have a good way to predict volcanic eruptions.
Are we getting a better way to do it, or are we just at the mercy of Mother Nature?
We're still clueless. We're still monitoring it very carefully, looking for the warning signs. That's why this sudden rise in the Earth, even though it's not immediately dangerous, is being looked at very carefully, because we have no experience with supervolcanoes. We've seen Mount St. Helens, we've seen Krakatoa, but a supervolcano erupting in our lifetime, we have no understanding of the scope of that thing. We just see the evidence of previous eruptions.
It's amazing. So you say it could be tomorrow, it could be in 100,000 years, but it's under there.
It's there, and it will happen. At one point, it will destroy North America as we know it.
What you gonna do about it, Yogi?
I am gonna get out of this park.
Here's what's happened in the last 24 hours, all right? Now, there's been several quakes, some of them 4.6 in Indonesia, 4.5 in Fiji. We understand these areas, 4.6 the Philippines, 4.5 Papua New Guinea, 4.2 in Chile, 4.5. This is when it happened. Yellowstone last night, around 6:48 p.m. Mountain Time. Here we go. A 4.5 jolt in Yellowstone National Park, followed by a 2.7. And remember, this 4.5 earthquake that hit Yellowstone in Montana was only 9.4 kilometers deep, followed by a 2.7, then another 2.6, then a 3.1. All of these earthquakes taking place within about a 3-minute period. Then the Philippines had a 4.9, and then here goes Yellowstone, 2.9. And then Arkansas, Harrison, Arkansas then must have felt the jolt, because then Harrison, Arkansas had a quake of 2.9. Then Washington State, over just not too far from the Yellowstone area, had a 3.6. Then we kept going and kept studying what was going on. Alaska had a couple quakes. We had a 4.2 in El Salvador, and a 2.9 in Ferndale, California, 3.3 in Ferndale, California, a 4.3 in Argentina, a 4.7 in Papua New Guinea. Alaska had a couple more quakes of 3.6 and 2.7, and then it happened again. Yellowstone, powerful 2.8, again very shallow. Alaska with a 2.9, Chile with a 4.4, and then Yellowstone just a few minutes ago, a 2.7. So we continue to see these quakes. They're not slowing down, folks. Yellowstone National Park, Montana, Yellowstone, Montana is where this quake epicenter is, and the aftershocks continue. And remember, we're dealing here with a super volcano with the potential of an eruption. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if, and scientists say when it goes, And who knows, that could be what? 100 years from now? 100 days from now? No guarantees on this thing. But it is a massive super volcano that is so large that it would literally destroy the northwest portion of the United States and part of southwestern Canada. That would just be from the initial eruption and the shock waves and the fire and the brimstone, the smoke and the ash would really send the United States and Canada into a dark winter for about 3 years. Vegetation would start dying. You have to understand, we're talking about a cataclysmic, apocalyptic, nearly extinction of this side of the hemisphere.
The lava would shatter the Earth's surface with an explosion 10 times larger than Mount St. Helens. A hurricane of hot gases would spread out in all directions as the ash cloud reaches 80,000 feet into the air. Already larger than anything man has experienced, this would be just the beginning of a Yellowstone super eruption. Within days, a second enormous eruption would begin, then another. Soon, a ring of monstrous explosions 50 miles wide would be spewing molten rock and burning gases across the landscape.
Certainly within 100 miles of Yellowstone, there wouldn't be much that was not destroyed.
So this is not nothing to play with. And if you're having a 4.5 earthquake followed by a lot of aftershocks right there, you got to watch it. And I said this 2 days ago. Now, I'm not a seismologist. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not a climatologist. I'm not a cosmetologist. I'm not an ophthalmologist or even a cardiologist. But I am I've been watching what's going on. I'll say, a country preacher in the cornfields of Indiana. I can just tell you, I know what the Bible says. From eschatology is concerned, these are the types of events that the Bible spoke of. Great earthquakes.
We don't know how long it's going to just sit there before it decides to go off.
If sometime in the future it were to erupt, as it has before, the Yellowstone volcano would overwhelm everything within 100 miles and disrupt lives across the globe for years.
Breaking news out of Yellowstone. 5 earthquakes in the last hour. The largest being a 4.5. All right, let's see if I can find it. Here's the event. 7 miles east-southeast of Grayling, Montana, 9.4 kilometers deep. There were others associated with this swarm, a 2.9, 2.8, 3.1, a 2.7, and then the initial 4.5. Looking at the seismograms right here in West Yellowstone. Let's go right to it. There it is. That's the 4.5. Those are probably the aftershocks, the 2.9. I think there was a 3. I'm sure they were felt all over the entire park. Some more of them there. Where's this one at? Holmes Hill. Let's go way over here and see what we got. Parker Peak. Absolutely. Hawks Rest. Wow. That's busy. Red Rock Ranch. Pitchstone. Yeah, it was felt all over the entire park, I'm sure, easily. So anyway, small swarm at Yellowstone, largest being a 4.5, and that's been within the last hour. And I'm sure there'll be more to come. Yellowstone's been very busy here recently.
What I didn't know was that then NASA has been flying the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy. They've been doing flyovers, mysterious flyovers, the Yellowstone area. And now we're hearing more information. Then we had the earthquake last night of 4.5, several aftershocks, which I've already discussed in my video earlier this morning. We will be talking about this afternoon. It is that critical. Now, let me just share with you 4.5 earthquake, 5 aftershocks. This larger than 2.5 have hit Yellowstone today on this June 16th. They're reporting it, while NASA is flying the world's largest airborne observatory over the supervolcano. So we're not playing. We tell you, is this thing waking up? I brought this up 2 days ago, even before the quake, even before the flyovers, just because I've been watching earthquakes now every day for over 7 years and reporting where every 188th day we had a major quake that hit exactly on the 188th day, 7 times. That was back in 2012 and 13 and so on. So look, we know what we're talking about here, that there is something going on up in Yellowstone. Matter of fact, is the Yellowstone volcano awakening? Well, the mysterious flyovers by the SOFIA over Yellowstone. Currently, NASA puts their stratospheric observatory for infrared astronomy, the world's largest, most sensitive airborne observatory every day in the air. And if NASA puts this in the air, it's important, folks. They don't do this every day. And when they do, the bird of prey doesn't go hunting unless there's something to hunt. They're watching something. You can bet on that, and that's the truth. Matter of fact, this is it has a 8.2 foot diameter infrared telescope, makes it possible to make scientific observations that are impossible for even the largest and highest of Earth-based telescopes to see. Already 4 days during the sunrise and sunset, NASA has been monitoring the sun, but yesterday they turned their lenses toward Yellowstone National Park. Remember, the massive lake of molten carbon, the size of Mexico. What? That is, are you seriously telling me that's the size of this thing? It is, and it's under Yellowstone. That's why I tell you, if this thing was to erupt, literally erupt, it is cataclysmic for the Western Hemisphere. There would be people survive, but it would be post-apocalyptic. And they would be wandering around. This is not... So when you read the Bible talks about great earthquakes on the planet. Tremendous famines. Disease, plagues, pestilences of a biblical proportion. Chaos, confusion, sorrows, great pain. A supervolcano eruption would cause just that. Death would be beyond comprehension. So what I'm trying to share with you is, if somebody's watching, if you're saved, you have none of the fear. So we're talking here, wrath of God. If you're not saved, this is the volatility of this world you live in. Very volatile, very dangerous. Perilous times, even, Paul said.
A supervolcano waking up in the USA. A supervolcano, which in case of eruption will blow all of North America and doom about half of the world to slow death, is starting to wake up. Can't we do anything about it? First, let's decide on what is a supervolcano. It's nothing like a regular volcano, a cone-shaped formation with a vent. It's more of a huge depression with the eruption area covering a few thousand square kilometers. For instance, a supervolcanic eruption on the Indonesian island of Sumatra caused 6 years of sulfuric acid rains. Add to this the dust clouds blocking the sun for quite a while, and you will get a picture very similar to nuclear winter. The supervolcano left no more than 10,000 people on the entire planet. Nowadays, there's also a threat of volcano eruption. There is a supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park, USA, at the height of 2,500 meters. Until recently, it has been considered dormant. On the outside, Yellowstone National Park is covered with a picturesque landscape. Well, on the inside, it is a vast valley filled with molten magma. For thousands of years, magma has been filling huge underground reservoirs, melting rock, becoming so thick that volcanic gases causing eruptions in regular volcanoes can't escape. Thereby, upward pressure from gigantic subsurface molten magma bodies make the surface of the Earth begin to swell. That lasts for hundreds of thousands of years until the swelling explodes. According to scientific data, the period between supervolcanic eruptions constitutes around 600,000 years. Based on that, we are bound to witness the next cataclysm. Originally, researchers scheduled it for 2075, but in summer 2003, strange things began to happen in Yellowstone National Park. The ground temperature rose to the boiling point. There appeared fissures releasing hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, volcanic gases contained in magma. These factors led scientists to believe that magma had escaped from its chamber and is reaching the surface at the speed that has increased by several times. Due to that, the time the volcano was believed to erupt was changed by almost 50 years. While magma is at the depth of 10 kilometers from the mouth of the supervolcano, it's too early to worry. But as soon as it rises to 2 to 3 kilometers, we'll have serious grounds for concern. And we do have grounds for concern. 2003, Norris Geyser Basin is closed for tourists due to increased volcano activity and high water temperature. 2006, the land in the park is found to be rising 10 centimeters per year. 4th of March 2014, the White House ordered the U.S. Geological Agency to restrict access to the information on earthquakes and gas emissions. March 2014, bisons and elks abandoned the park. April 2014, the water temperature in the lakes rose above 20 degrees Celsius. According to scientists, in case of explosion, the picture will be more dramatic than that of apocalypse. It will start with the land in Yellowstone National Park abruptly going up and overheating. And when the immense pressure bursts, caldera, the resulting mouth will erupt thousands of cubic meters of lava that will resemble a column of fire. The explosion will be accompanied by massive earthquake and disastrous lava flows spreading at the speed of hundreds of kilometers per hour. The eruption will last several days. However, people and animals will primarily die not from ash and lava, but from suffocation and poisoning by sulfuretted hydrogen. By this time, the air throughout western regions of the USA will be poisoned so much that humans will last no longer than 5 to 7 minutes. Researchers do not challenge the fact that Yellowstone Giant will trigger the eruption of hundreds of regular volcanoes worldwide. Furthermore, the eruption of volcanoes situated on the ocean bed will generate numerous tsunamis, which will flood coastal areas and all island countries. What will follow can be described as volcanic winter. The U.S. President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology has come to the conclusion that it will be impossible to rescue the entire population. A few months' time before the explosion will see the evacuation of major scientists, military servicemen, high-tech experts, and billionaires. Millionaires are very unlikely to escape due to insufficient space on the Ark. Even now, there are millionaires who are getting rid of their property and moving to the Eastern Hemisphere. Such an Ark will presumably be the African country Liberia. That's where the passengers of the Ark will try to hole up for several years in an underground bunker. So, when will the supervolcano erupt? Nobody knows for sure, but that will be quite a sight.
Are you serious? It's getting very serious. Give your life to Jesus Christ, okay? Start walking in the peace. Start walking in the power. Start walking in the blessing and the love of God. Lay your head on your pillow at night and know that you're in the arms of Jesus and that, everything's going to work out. He's coming. He is coming. And it's way sooner than you can ever imagine.